I have the citation here for the Air Force Cross. Do you mind reading some of it out?
The fact that this was a 1 in a million emergency, which occurred at night over difficult terrain and on an instructional sortie, makes Wallis's actions in saving his aircraft and crew truly remarkable. That evening's mission was to teach Yaf how to fly tactically, so preparing him for a deployment to Afghanistan. What that was night flying at 150 feet, tactical climbs, so climbing as fast as we can, up to 2,000 feet, before descending back down to low level, just so he can experience mixing up the two regimes.
We were conducting some confined aerial landings, and the last one actually we departed from a very small space, just enough space for the Merlin. And during the takeoff and departure and transition, we experienced a very loud bang in the helicopter.
The aircraft yawed, which is a rotation through the vertical axes, 20 to 30 degrees, all of which I was still looking down at the computer, so I didn't have a clue what was going on. Of course, through my head was, what on earth's that? I was quite shocked. I didn't think it was catastrophic. I'd assumed that Yaf had maybe hit a tree with the rotor blades. Although serious, helicopters can normally fly if you've just knocked a foot off, at least a short distance, which would have been enough to put it down in a field. So I looked up, said, I've got it, took the controls off Yaf.
I knew it was critical instantly because we have low altitude, we have the low speed and dark night, and we were over trees. So I reckoned immediately if we're going to land, it would be a crash landing.
It got quiet because the engines were starting to shut down and the rotor blades were slowing down. And as soon as the rotor blades stop, then it's game over with a helicopter, because you've got seconds when the blades start reducing speed.
I rushed away from the ramp and tried to find me a crew seat because I'm not safe. I'm only secured with the belts to the ceiling of the helicopter, and it will not make me safe if we make a hard landing.
Luckily, I'd spent a lot of time in Iraq and Afghanistan with the Brits before, and it would only take a lucky bullet to potentially incapacitate the aircraft. So it's something we'd actually trained for a heck of a lot. So I think the simulator training took over, if I'm perfectly honest. I don't recall having any of these thoughts, although the things I said and did happened.
Other thoughts, I'm just no. I thought this is the end.
I knew from flying in the terrain for 3 or 4 years that there was a large clearing, a large open field in the sort of 2 o'clock area. I couldn't see it because it was across the cockpit. But I also knew that I had no choice but to go for it, because to land in the trees probably would have been fatal. So I stood the aircraft almost on its tail, which forces air to go up through the bottom of the rotor blades and spin them back up to speed like a sycamore. I started a hard turn. We turned for about 60 degrees, and then during the turn, it kind of dawned on me that this was a catastrophic failure and we weren't going to be flying away. So I called brace, brace, brace to the crew. I
didn't manage to buckle up safely, and I just took my brace position. And I expected a very hard landing, eventually a crash actually. That's what my expectations was.
I still couldn't quite believe that all 3 engines had failed and we got 0 torque, because that shouldn't be possible in a helicopter. At that point, we were probably about 30 foot from the ground, still turning. So I leveled the aircraft and plonked it down in the field.
I sat tight here and just waiting for the impact, and it didn't happen. So we actually landed without me noticing it. It was such a soft landing on a soft field. So I didn't manage to recognize the landing. All of a sudden we were standing still in the middle of the night.
I remember it being about -10, -15 degrees, and I had to call my boss. He was the only person I could think of to call at that point. That was quite a surreal conversation, because I didn't know what had happened. And all I could tell him was I was in a field, everyone was okay. But obviously he'd got a barrage of questions that I just, had no answers for. We all just went home. I don't think any of us slept a wink, because clearly we didn't know what had happened, whether we'd done something wrong or what could have caused it. Got home probably about 4 in the morning. My wife was fast asleep, so I just left her asleep and just lay there for the rest of the night. It was very strange. We
met the day after to talk this through and defuse and debrief. And I, without thinking, I just hugged Ben and thanked thank you for saving my life last night. It was quite emotional, actually.
When I am training junior pilots, I try to kind of instill just a little bit of that caution. I don't want to scare them, of course, because it is, as we said, a 1 in a million thing, but just to get people thinking that the 1 in a million event does actually happen.
What he did that night was magnificent, and really saved me and the crew and the helicopter. I'm quite sure about that. If it wasn't for his pilot skills, maybe I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Thanks for watching. For more from Forces News, like and subscribe to our channel.